Hi there, Liam Does Stuff here. I've taken a great liking to Halloween my whole life, and as I've grown older I prefer Halloween over any other holiday by a landslide. There's a kind of silly righteousness around Halloween being your favorite. All the cacophonous, depleting commercialism of Christmas is corny, man. But we may or may not forget that Halloween is largely about making a profit too, right? Does it make it a better cause compared to Christmas if it's about celebrating death and eating sweets and parading around as Harley Quinn instead of being with those you love and spreading cheer and exchanging gifts? And, well, that just sounds one-sided, especially if I'm trying to preach a defense of Halloween and not defame it. Disturb the comfortable and comfort the disturbed, maybe? Those who vicariously enjoy holly jolly Christmas are otherwise mean, and those who like the mean holiday are nice? All kinds of philosophy at play here, but I'm actually here to talk about the movie Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. If you're familiar with the Halloween/Michael Myers franchise, then you're likely aware of the mortification of Halloween 3, being often informally addressed as the one that doesn't have Michael Myers in it. The behind-the-scenes conflict of interest story has been exhausted on YouTube videos pertaining to anything Halloween 3. Halloween 2 wasn't exactly a passion project, and Dino De Laurentiis gives Carpenter's anthology idea the green light. Tommy Lee Wallace is attached to direct, and then, in one of the greatest marketing tragedies in the history of horror pictures, or perhaps pictures period, audiences felt duped into forking over cash to a Myers-devoid movie. But recently, you can see that there are those who've warmed up to it, proving that just because there's a dissonance between what you want and what you got, doesn't always mean that what you got sucks. It rings truer now that the general public has long acquired what they begged for: Michael Myers without any sign of a bottom for the pit. Isn't David Gordon Green's awful HBO Max patented trilogy any signal that perhaps rearing towards more of a diverse output for Halloween was the way to go? Little known fact is that my first real deal horror film was 1982's Creepshow. Thanks for gifting me with the horror genre, Mum. And to this day I'm a sucker for a good anthology. To think that Myers and the Silver Shamrock story coexist, at least in terms of filmography and not the canon, except for that cute little TV spot during a scene in the bar. It's a shame how many potentially great and unique films we will never see under the Halloween name. All we have is the sole remainder. Tom Atkins as the alcoholic schlub Dr. Daniel Chalice has seemingly slept with every female colleague in the hospital, and his girlfriend Ellie Grimbridge is on the younger side.
Waiter. How old are you?
Chalice, Grimbridge. Fittingly hokey names. You could cut those bits out and it really wouldn't matter. Doesn't make for the most sympathetic protagonist. The androids aren't very intimidating, and sort of a half-baked idea that gooses the audience later on in a way that's a little too goofy, even considering other events that happen in this. But the funny part is that Halloween 3 for me scared me more than anything from the first two. And in the age of frivolous conspiracy, this movie is quite relevant. An advertisement broadcast acting as a kind of psyop using old-timey witchcraft and new age technology to kill children all across the United States via microchip? That Silver Shamrock jingle sure is an earworm. The main villain, Colonel Cochran, played by national treasure Dan O'Herlihy, is actually against the notion of commercialism in his scheme. The end goal isn't profit, but rather sacrificing children in the name of the grim, sadistic origins of the Halloween season.
You thought no further than the strange custom of having your children wear masks and go out begging for candy.
He brings up a great point about the safety falsehoods of Halloween. This celebration is admittedly plagued with cruel pranks and bad weather. Children statistically are twice as likely to get hit by a car, and you break the golden rule of not just talking to strangers, but taking candy from them. We stole Halloween from those who used it as an excuse for satanic misdeeds. We misappropriated it as some sort of get-up convention, and then we just assumed that nobody would rebel. Cochran is just taking back what's rightfully his. I don't know about you, but that's one of the coolest motivations ever. There are images in this movie that are burned into my mind forever. In my younger youth, Season of the Witch was always the one I'd skip. 30 minutes go by, no sign of a Shatner mask, so I'm gone. One fateful October, I humored the idea of watching all of it just to truly cement my boredom, and maybe get a measure of the enemy I was so severely at odds with. And, to my surprise, the misfire scene and the kid's head deteriorating, yeesh, what a visual. Brute force and stabbings you can get used to, but these are creative, the worst kind of murder. Dean Cundey returns to do cinematography as he did the previous Halloweens, and that iconic, cold, desiccated, and thin look of Carpenter projects gives me a bit of nostalgia for a period that came and went before I was born. Also, did you know Jamie Lee Curtis has a voice cameo twice?
It's 6 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock. Curfew. Curfew.
What more did you have?
Yes, information.
I'm sorry, we cannot complete your call as dialed. Please hang up and check the number and
Just
dial
one more
again.
day.
There's budgetary constraints that were handy for the making of the film, but they supply commentary within the universe of the movie as well. The limited selection of generic masks made it so that they don't have to spend so much on duplicating dozens of designs. But that matches the intentions of the company themselves, as well as the Silver Shamrock jingle, which you again can't not mention is so dubiously catchy in an annoying way, is just London Bridge is Falling Down with swapped lyrics. London Bridge is public domain. The masks are cheap crap, and yet with the power of marketing, Silver Shamrock is able to turn them into a fad. Normally kids want to be a superhero or a princess or something more recognizable, but they're easily persuaded by that damn television set. While we're on the topic of annoying sounds, the soundtrack composed by John Carpenter and Alan Howarth may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I personally adore it, and I listen to it often. It's a must-listen if you're into Carpenter soundtracks or classic electronica in general. You know, it's a charming little movie. Not perfect, but worthy. And I'm certainly glad we were able to re-examine and speak about it more enthusiastically. I'd like to also sincerely thank Randall for bringing me on, and it's been a pleasure talking about Halloween 3.